Hey YouTube, this is Yirmiyahu Weeps. I am trying to make myself make another video because since I'm so depressed and feel so crappy and sick all the time, it's very demotivating. But yeah. Anyways, I was I had some thoughts recently about the covenants. So there was the original covenant that Yehovah, the Creator, made with Yisrael thousands of years ago. And I'm going to be paraphrasing a little bit, but he basically said, okay, I'm going to make a marriage covenant with you. I'm going to be your most powerful authority, and you're going to be my people. And this is the covenant I'm going to make with you. And they said, okay, whatever you tell us we'll do. And he said, okay, so these are the rules and regulations for the covenant. And then he basically gave the 10 Commandments, that he's the only authority, don't replace him with anything that he's made, don't replace him with anything that people have made, don't misrepresent him and slander his character, keep the anniversary of him and humanity and mankind, which is the Shabbat, the 7th day of creation, the day that he ceased and rested from creating. He just ceased from creating. He was done. He finished it. And so that's his special day, and it's also the day that's coming, but I'll get to that in a little bit, I think. So they said, okay, we'll do it. And he said, okay, if you keep the instructions that I'm giving you, all this good will happen to you. If you violate the instructions I'm giving to you, all these negative things will happen to you. So keep the instructions, because I really want to bless you and have all these good things happen to you. But I really would rather not, do punishment and correction and give you negative things happen to you because you're violating the covenant that you pledged yourself to. So they said, okay, we'll do it. And then, of course, they violated the instructions. So after violating the instructions, eventually they split into two kingdoms, the kingdom of Yisrael and the kingdom of Yehuda. Yehovah divorced the kingdom of Israel, and then later I believe he divorced the kingdom of Yehuda. So divorcing them, he gave them a certificate of divorce, annulled the covenant with them, because they had violated it too many times. I think he annulled it. I know he divorced them. So anyways, according to his own instructions, if he divorced them, he can't get back together with them. They cannot reunite. That one of them has to die to be freed from the covenant, from the being bound in the covenant, and being able to get back together after the divorce. I think that's how it goes. You can look it up. It's in probably Leviticus, Vayikra, in his Torah, one of the first books of scripture that he talks about the rules for divorce and remarriage. And then Shaul also goes into it. I think it's Shaul, in what they call the New Testament. I cannot remember exactly which book, but I'm guessing you can probably find it. So he divorces them. So Yeshua comes along, who people commonly call Jesus, but his real name is Yoshua, which means Yehovah is salvation. Yehovah, the name of the Creator, which means he's the self-existent one. Yoshua comes as his perfect representative. So he's representing the Creator. He only speaks and does what the Creator tells him to do and to speak. And he never violates love. He never violates the Creator's instructions. So he's the second Adam. When he says the Son of Man, Adam means man. So he's saying he's the son of Adam, meaning he's the second Adam. He's the heir of Adam. When Yehovah gave the promise to Adam and Hava, Adam and Eve, and he told the serpent, the Nachash, one of their offspring is going to come along, and you're going to strike his heel, but he's going to crush your head. So he's going to have triumph over you. And the one that did that was the second Adam, Yeshua. So Yeshua comes as his representative, and to end the marriage contract, he dies. So the marriage contract is ended. So the divorce is no longer binding because he's dead. So they're free to marry another. So Israel, Yehuda are free to marry another. So now Yehovah can marry them with a new marriage contract, which he gives in Yirmiyahu 31. It's repeated numerous times in the New Testament, where he says, I will make a new covenant with you, even though you broke the old one. I'm going to make a new covenant with you. I will write my Torah, my instructions, I will write my ways of being on your hearts and minds, so that you will keep them from the heart, not just an outward display. So, the new covenant is where Yehovah is writing his Torah on the hearts and minds of Yisrael and Yehuda. And of course, Yehuda is part of Yisrael. I mean, that when they split, originally it was just Israel, but then when they split, it became Yehuda and Israel, Judah and Israel. But they will be getting back together. And so all of believers that believe in Yeshua, that love the Creator and believe in Yeshua and believe in his redemptive work, his living perfect, being the perfect human being, the representative of the new mankind. So the old mankind goes into decay and death. The new mankind comes alive after death and goes into immortality, eventual immortality. So that's the new mankind. And the mankind is called the Creator's children. So I believe, it seems to me, that the new mankind will be the Creator's children, which is kind of mind-blowing to me, the possibilities of what that could mean. I mean, it could mean that we are the same type as the Creator himself. So like when you see a duck, you know what type of animal it is. It's the duck type. When you see a cat or a lion, they're the feline type, the cat type. Lions are just really big cats, so they're the cat type. When you see a Doberman Pinscher, it's the dog type. When you see a new being of mankind, a new man or a new woman, it seems to me that it's going to be the God kind, the Creator kind. Yeah, and so the new covenant with Yeshua even says, the new covenant starts, Yeshua says, this is from Luke 22 verse 20. So he's having his last meal with his students, his Talmudim, his disciples. And he's having the last meal because he knows that the next day he's going to be executed. And that night he's going to be taken. So he knows this is coming. So he says, in the same way, he took a cup after they had eaten, saying, this cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. So that cup is the new covenant. So Yeshua's blood being poured out is the new covenant. And I'm just looking at a few verses that reference this. In Hebrews 9:18, it says, so even the first covenant was inaugurated with blood. And you can go in the Torah, the books of Moshe, the Genesis through Deuteronomy, you can see that when the covenant was instituted, the Moshe, I believe it was, sprinkled what did he sprinkle again? The Ark of the Covenant. He sprinkled the Ark of the Covenant with blood, and he sprinkled the people with blood. And that blood showing the sealing of the covenant, that the covenant, the people and the Ark of the Covenant, symbolizing the Creator, were sealed with blood. Okay? So Yeshua, he shed his blood to seal the new covenant. The new covenant where the Creator is going to put his Torah, his ways of being, his way of his character and his making us like him, he's putting it in our hearts and minds, and he's sealing it with Yeshua's blood. In Matthew 26 verse 28, it says, for this is my blood, the blood of the covenant, that is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. So people have their sins have been forgiven because of Yeshua, because of the redemptive act that he did. And so now, because Yeshua has instituted the new covenant, the new marriage contract with the Creator, so we are now one with the Creator. And Yisrael, now the ones that believe in Yeshua's redemptive work are part of the new Yisrael. So it's no longer just you're a member of Yisrael if you're born into it from blood, from who your parents are, or something like that. It's Yah putting it within you, and so that identifies you as a member of Yisrael. That identifies you as a Yisraelite by Yah putting it within you, by Yah putting belief in Yeshua and his redemptive work within you, and Yah putting the love of him and his ways within you. And then, of course, with the new covenant, it's no longer. It seems to me that it's no longer by the letter. So you're not. I don't think. It seems to me that we're not having to look strictly at what's in the Torah and try to do all of the exact things that are in the Torah, but it's like the Torah as our guide. So like it's still good to not murder. That's still the right way to be. That's still, if you're in the covenant with the Creator under Yeshua, that you still would not murder, but you would go above and beyond that, because it's all about loving the Creator and loving each other. So we try to treat to me it seems like one of the ways that he says to do that is to treat others the way you would want to be treated. And of course the way you would treat yourself is through the eyes of the Creator, through the lens of the Creator. So he sees you and he sees something that he loves and cherishes and values immensely. So he doesn't want harm to come to you. So if you're doing harm to yourself in some way, like say you're cutting yourself, or you want to commit suicide or something like that, the Creator treasures you. So he does not want harm to come to you. So in the same way he doesn't want harm to come to you, you shouldn't want harm to be coming to others, because he doesn't want harm to be coming to them either. Now, of course, he does harm to people, and sometimes, like, I've given the example before of, like, parents have to take their very young child, who's too young to understand. Their child will have a very torturous, fatal illness if they don't get this shot, but the shot is going to be painful, and the child's too young to understand. So the parents take their child to get this painful shot, and they know that it's going to be a little bit excruciating, their child having to go through this. But they know it's going to save their child from an awful, torturous death, early death. So they're actually doing good to their child, even though it's a painful thing that they're having to do to their child. It's actually helping them. And that's how I see it is with the Creator with us, that we get subjected to, because the Creator's in control over everything. So anything that happens to you, the Creator's in control over. But he only subjects his children to something that's going to benefit them in the future. Something that's necessary for them in the future. Because he loves them. He loves all of his creation. So even though you see all of the horribleness going on in the world around us, the Creator's subjecting his children and his creation to something that will ultimately lead to their benefit in the future, even if we don't understand all of the ins and outs of what that means now. I mean, how it plays out right now. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Yeah, so the first marriage contract is fading away. I mean, it says it in Scripture, I believe, that it's fading away. It's not. So Yeshua fulfilled the terms of that contract. He was obedient in all the ways that he could be, perfectly obedient, and he fulfilled the terms. So I believe that when he said it is finished, I think the last words, or either last words or second last words that he said when he was being crucified and executed, that he said it is finished, I believe that that's partly applying to the original covenant, that covenant has been completed, or had been completed with his death, that he had fulfilled it. And so now the new covenant, we're under the new covenant with Yehovah putting his Torah His ways of being, and His character within our hearts and minds, and growing us. So it's no longer a matter of us needing to achieve goodness. I mean, it's no longer a matter of us needing to achieve goodness. The Creator is making us good from the inside out. So, like, if you don't want to murder, you don't want to steal, you don't want to treat people terribly, when that happens, that is the Creator working it in you. He's changing you from the inside out. So, like, if you don't want to take revenge, and you don't want to, like, commit murder, you don't want to rape people or torture people, you want to do good to people, you want to be respected and respect other people because that's the kind of world you want to live in. That's an evidence of the Creator changing you from the inside out. When you self-sacrifice for somebody else, when you take abuse from somebody else and you don't dish out abuse back to them, when you do good to somebody that's doing wrong to you, that's all evidence of the Creator changing you from the inside out to make you more like Him and His character. Trying to think if I'm missing anything. Yeah, I don't think so. So that's what I see. So I see that Him changing us from the inside out is accomplishing His Torah. So His Torah of, like, the Ten Commandments and every other instructions that He gave. I mean, some of it was, like, symbolic. Some of it was to illustrate truths. Some of the things, like, say, don't wear clothing combined of wool and plant fibers. Part of that was symbolism, that He was illustrating a truth with symbolism and purity, to not mix things that shouldn't be mixed. So there were rules and regulations like that. But now I think that what He's doing within us is accomplishing what the Torah had intended, what the Torah was for, even though it was broken. And it was broken, of course, according to His plan, to illustrate that we need Him to be able to accomplish the Torah within us. And the Torah is not just something that we can accomplish outwardly on our own without Him. That He's necessary for us to be able to accomplish it. I mean, that's part of it. But, and this is all just me, like, talking off the top of my head, so I'm not going to be able to be as exact as I would like, but I felt like I needed to get this out there. So, yeah, so we're under the new covenant now. The marriage contract has been in effect. Even if people don't realize it, the Creator has forgiven sin and wrongdoing, missing the mark, and is making people the way He wants them to be. We are no longer in a position of condemnation because of Yeshua, because of what Yeshua did, Yeshua's redemptive work. He has justified humanity, particularly the ones that believe it, so the ones that don't accept the Creator or Yeshua, that don't accept His truth, the Creator's truths, this still applies to them, but they just, they're not acting in accord with it yet because the Creator has not given that to them yet. Because the Creator says, Yeshua says, no one can come to the Father except through me, and He also says, no one can come to me unless the Father draws him, or drags him. So you can't come to Yeshua unless the Father brings you to Him, and you can't come to the Father except through Yeshua. So first, the only way you can get to the Father is through Yeshua. The only way you can get to Yeshua is if the Father brings you, anybody. So if they haven't gotten to the Father or Yeshua yet, it's because the Father has not made it happen yet. But they will, because it will happen for everybody. The Creator says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess Him. So, and they're not going to confess Him in, like, rebellion or something like that. No, He's going to draw everyone to Himself, and He's going to let everybody know the truth at the time of His choosing. So it's going to happen. He's doing it with few select people now. Oh, and it seems to me that the Creator is Yeshua was the perfect representative of the Creator, and Yeshua was a servant. He served people. That's what He did. I think everything He did was serving His Father, the Creator, and serving people. So I think that the people that the Creator is drawing to himself now and giving special gifts to, the reason he's doing that is so that they can serve other people. So there's nobody that that you can really look down on, because I think the Creator is making it so that everything that everybody is doing is in service to other people, whether they realize it or not, whether they're trying to do it or not. That ultimately that's what it will result in, is that everybody is serving other people. Yep. Okay, so I think that wraps it up for everything that I can think of right now, because my mind's really scattered. But I hope that your day is going as good as possible. I hope that this is encouraging. Know that whatever... Oh, and of course, even if you have difficulty, I mean, this life seems to be like difficulty is guaranteed. Even if you're suffering, you have confusion, you have loss, whatever. And it seems to me that so everybody's going to be purified, and everybody's going to be brought to fulfillment, the fulfillment of who the Creator made them to be, which is going to be awesome and wonderful and beautiful. So that's going to apply to every person. But it seems to me that every person is going to have to go through being brought low, having to go through purification, which can involve pain and suffering and affliction. So everybody has to go through that at some point. Everybody has to go through difficulty, but none of it is in vain, and it will all lead to the fulfillment of every single person. That's where everyone is headed eventually. Whether they realize it now or not, whether it's happening for them now or not, nothing is wasted, and it all will lead to good. Nothing is wasted. So any difficulty, any hurt, any horrible thing that has happened to you in this life, and this life can be really horrible for too many people, which I hate, but I know that the Creator has good reasons and purpose in doing it, and it will lead to the eventual good and redemption and fulfillment for all people. I'm glad of that. So, yeah. So thanks. I hope this is encouraging for you. Much love and peace to all, and I look forward to the day when you are fulfilled, when you are purified, when you have complete and utter satisfaction and bliss in who you were made to be. Thanks. Have a very good day or night, or whenever you watch this, and much peace and love to you. Shalom, which means peaceful wholeness. Bye.